First, to be honest, Abdullah, I thought we haven't even been talking about Sudan the way we have been speaking about Gaza or other places. A lot of thoughts came to my mind that, it has to do with racism. Maybe it's this, maybe it's that. And then I said to myself that we let go of Gaza. So what does it really matter? What did we do for the Muslims there?
Throughout the war with Gaza, we have not spoken or talked or even sympathized or brought the issue of Sudan, although the atrocities were much greater, not because me and you or some of the sincere brothers do not care, but it's the media that plays on us. What's happening in Sudan, it's an image, it's a view of what is happening in the Middle East and what's happening in the Muslim world at large. What we see in Sudan is the symptom of a larger problem that we have seen in Syria, we have seen it in Yemen, we continue to see it in Yemen, that we have seen it in Palestine, the inability to the Ummah to rise to its own fate, to rise for its own happiness, to rise for its own sovereignty.
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Salatu wa salam ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajmain. Dear brothers and sisters, I am sure you're looking at the images that are coming out of Sudan. When I saw the images that are coming out, brothers and sisters, a statement from Ibn Athir came to mind when he was asked about writing the history of the Muslims. He was so overwhelmed by the events of what was taking place at his time that he said, the only thing I can say is Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. And sometimes you might think that this is, of course it is. It's not only sad, it is horrifying to see the kind of images that we are seeing that are coming out of Sudan. Muslims going after Muslims in ways that you cannot imagine. But there is a lot of, there are things that we do not know. The events in Sudan are not happening on their own. There is a lot of background that we need to understand, the game that is being played, another colonial setup that is being put together in Sudan. As you know also, brothers and sisters, that Sudan used to be part of Egypt in the 1952 when it separated. It was made to separate from Egypt, just like what you see in Gaza. Gaza has not even finished yet. Just yesterday, over 100 people were killed in the so-called ceasefire. And here we are watching another, in some ways, a massacre taking place in Sudan. So to discuss all of this, the only person that I could think of in my mind to discuss matters like this of such seriousness was Dr. Abu Talha. Dr. Abu Talha, again, welcome to Islamic Oasis Live. It is always an honor and pleasure to have you here, especially in the times that we call you in the middle of the nights, at 12 o'clock at night, at 2 o'clock in the middle, and you never reject Sheikh. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect and preserve you. And it's amazing to see that how you're able to keep up with the events taking place in the Muslim lands and to be able to not only to give us what we are supposed to be looking at. So Sheikh, let me start. So again, welcome Dr. Abu Talha.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Jazakallahu khair, brother.
Wa rahmatullah. Abu Talha, if you can, please, before you go into what we are watching on our screens today, if you can just give us a little bit of background of Sudan in relation to Egypt and to Africa in general, and what has led up to what we are seeing today on the screens.
Okay, Assalamu alaikum, Brother Muhammad Shirazi, and thank you as always for keeping the Muslim Ummah informed of what's going on, addressing the issues which matter the most for for any Muslim, not almost, but for every Muslim. And what keeps me up at night and ready to discuss and talk about these issues is one thing, brother, is that along all of this dark tunnel that we are going through, based on the revelations from Allah Azza wa Jal, that there will always be the light that comes from Allah, there will be the victory, there will be the unity of the Ummah. As Allah says, حتى إذا استيأس الرسل وظنوا أنهم قد كذبوا جاءهم نصرنا. At the time when you are absolutely hopeless, when you lose even the sight of what is going to happen, when the atrocities are killing millions of people in Sudan, when millions of people in Syria before that, they were crushed, killed, kidnapped, imprisoned, when thousands and thousands and thousands of our brothers in Gaza, in the West Bank, in Palestine, were persecuted, were genocided. With all of these things happening, how could you keep up? How could you keep your heart beating and moving? The only thing is that we believe that still Allah Azza wa Jal is a reality. Allah's existence is a fact. Allah eventually will not allow the evil to prevail forever. Allah Azza wa Jal allows the evil to prevail for a time for people to appreciate the fact that there is yet one more hope, one more support. So that's my feelings, and that's what I feel. That's what I would like to continue feeling, so that I can continue be with you, brother Shirazi, and with other brothers who address these issues. That's number one.
Exactly.
Number two, going into the issue of Sudan, as you mentioned, of course, Sudan, Egypt, Algeria, Libya, Morocco, Iraq, Turkey, all have been one part of this Muslim Ummah, one part of a greater Muslim land at one point of time. And then when colonialism began back in the 19th century and was inaugurated almost with full control over very large and vast Muslim lands after the collapse of the Khilafah in Istanbul, the Islamic State, all the countries in the Middle East and in the Muslim world have become victims of colonization. In particular, Egypt, or what used to be called the Nile Valley, or the Valley of the Nile, Wadi Nile, which included Egypt and what is known to be Sudan and South Sudan today, used to be a one unit under the as a colony of British, and that occurred even before the British were able to control Egypt through the kingdom of the Khediwis. The last king was King Farouk, who lost power in 1952, and before him his father King Tawfiq, and those were in control of what used to be known Wadi Nile, or the Valley of Nile. Now, once Egypt was able to get rid of the monarchy at the time, which is the King Farouk, of course we know that this was with the help of the CIA officer Miles Copeland, and that's not news. That's not something that we are making up. You could read it in his book, The Game of Nation, or the Game and the Player and the Game. And then, of course, you could read it in the memorandum or memories of Dean Acheson, who used to be the Secretary of State during the military coup that took place in Egypt. One of the first steps that took place by the new government in Egypt, by the three officers led by Abdel Nasser, was the split of the Valley of the Nile into two parts, one called Sudan and one called Egypt. Now, having said that, I would say that part of the American U.S. policies for the Middle East is what they call it today the geopolitical policies, or geopolitical stability. And that term, geopolitical, includes two components, one geography and the other one is political. So the geography, the United States does not like to see any geographic expansion of any country to a point where it can become a very powerful state once it gets its independence and complete sovereignty. So imagine if Egypt plus Sudan at the time when it was one, it was able, imagine if it had been able to acquire its complete sovereignty under the law of Islam and the system of Islam, then it would have turned into a superpower in almost no time. That's very dangerous for the United States and its manipulation of the world. So they demanded the split. So the split between Sudan and Egypt came under the supervision and of the United States that controlled the so-called Egypt at the time. That's one. Now, even then, Sudan continued to be too large, too big to tolerate. And that's why there was a big conspiracy supporting the southern Sudanese rebels back in the 80s and 90s. Eventually, they were able to split Sudan into South Sudan and the current Sudan. So that's of course, again, it was done and supported completely by the United States that still has the vision of any state, especially in the Muslim world, especially in the Middle East part of the Muslim world, that's big enough to be powerful if and only if it has its own sovereignty. And the sovereignty can take place. And of course, we know that during the Arab Spring, it would have happened in Egypt or in Yemen or in Tunis or in where else? Libya. The Arab Spring was a big warning that even Libya, although it doesn't have so many people, but it's big enough to become a real power. So again, in order to prevent and to stop the possibility of the rise of one potential sovereign independent state that could lead the entire Middle East and later on the Muslim world, you have to, according to the US geopolitical stability, you have to split. And that's why today America is supporting both parts in Sudan, both parts, whether it's the what they call them, the quick response forces or the responses
rapid response,
the rapid response force, military, or even the Sudanese government. Both are under the dominance and the influence of same devil, which is in this case the policy of the United States of America. Why? Because Sudan, as it sits today, it's still too big to handle. So the game here is to make sure that the split between Sudan and Western Sudan, where Darfur is, it becomes final. And today, what happened in the final capture of the northern part of Darfur, the city of I even forgot the name.
Fashir, I think something like that.
El Fashir, yes. Yeah. The city of El Fashir, which is the capital of the province of Darfur, and the decision for the Sudanese army to flee and to let go under the auspices of, we wanted to avoid massacres. But still, they already know that these rapid forces are going to commit massacres. That's not something new. They have been doing that all the time, and they did. So, and therefore, the reason that the government of Sudan gave that we let go of El Fashir is actually going along with the decision, with the plan of dividing Sudan, and to make sure that this Darfur is split, or this province of Darfur, and maybe the Kordofan also, which goes on the north west part of Darfur. All these would be split from Sudan, and then these two provinces can become 2 more states. In other words, Sudan is too big to be acceptable in the Middle East. This is the U.S. policy. Exactly what they did in Iraq. Once they controlled Iraq, they had supported the Kurds in their fights against the Iraqis. They have supported them all the way through, and until today they continue to support them in Syria in order to split. So we split Iraq, or practically they are split. They are two countries. They claim that we have one president for all, but that's only on superficial. So the idea today, what we are seeing, is what Trump has termed, and before him Biden, and before them Obama. All of them, they have talked about the geopolitical stability of the Middle East. Geographically, we will not allow a country to remain as big as it is. Politically, we will not allow any regime to change its political structure to become a threat, not to the people, but to the colonialism, imperialism practiced by United States and Europe in the Middle East. We will not allow that. And so what we are seeing today is finalization of this plan, whether it's in Gaza and Palestine, whether it's in Sudan, whether it's in Syria also. Now, we know that in Syria, until today, we have not seen a real serious attempt and forceful thing to sustain the unity of Syria. Where we see Israel is marching into the Suwaida or close to the border of Suwaida to make sure that the Druze will have their either autonomy or their independent state. The United States continue to support the Qasad or the Turkish, the Kurdish forces in the
SDF
northeast of Syria. They support them, and they don't allow the Syrian new government to take any action. All of this, why? Because Syria, although it's relatively small compared to Sudan, but at least it has sufficient capacity in terms of space, resources, and people to become a vital state in the Middle East, to stand up for the truth, for the reality, for the history of Sham and Damascus. And the same thing in Libya. What is happening in Libya? Libya, there is a split and there is a war, there is a fight. Maybe not as much atrocities committed as we see in Sudan, but if you scale it down, you will find it's almost the same. Maybe difference in volume, but the massacres and the killings that have happened since 2011 and 2012 in Libya, they are not few, they are not little. And we have seen, I think it was last year, when the Haftar's group, they committed lots of atrocities and massacres in Tripoli by airplanes, by bombs, by I would use, although I hate to use the word terrorist attacks, because this is a term created by the United States to label it with Muslims, but this genocide and these massacres that Haftar committed in Tripoli and the surrounding, all of these are part of two things. Number one, the United States is its hand and its finger is involved in each and every one of these acts. Number two, the absence of the awareness of Muslims to take the law in their own hand is also there. So I'm not putting blames on the West. The West, they will do whatever it's in to serve their interest. That's natural. But the unfortunate thing is that the Muslims on land, they are not acting, not a single bit, in favor of their own interest. They have let Gaza down, they have let the West Bank down, they are watching Sudan, and they are supplying these Muslim countries, especially in the Gulf, they are supplying both parties with weapons and with money. Where did all these people get the drones, the billions of dollars? Sudan is a very poor country, not by resources, but by design, they are poor, but out of a sudden, these guys have all types of tanks, all types of cannons, all types of drones, all types of rockets. Man, where do you get this money from?
Yeah.
So
when they're using drones, that's what they did, overwhelming force to capture.
And of course, someone will tell me, "Oh, these guys are manufacturing drones and they are making them." That's baloney. That's not true. They are supported and supplied to them, to both parties, by these proxy states that work in favor of Western colonialism and in favor of Israel, in fact, in particular. And the irony here, brother, which really, hurts my heart, my soul a lot, is that we as a Muslim Ummah, the people, the 2 billion people, the 350 or 400 million Muslims in the Middle East itself, they are absolutely idle. Their hands are cuffed, and they are not even trying to break this cuff so that they can do something in favor of their own children, their own future, and their own resources. There needs to be a serious move. People should start listening. Look, if you don't do that now, tomorrow you will suffer in Jordan, and then you will suffer in Saudi Arabia. Those who think that they are immune because they have lots of oil, they will not be immune. Not in Saudi Arabia, not in Qatar, not in Emirat, not in Kuwait, not in Egypt, not in Algeria, not in Tunis. None will be immune, because this is like an avalanche of fire that will expand and swallow and burn everyone that it faces in the way. So again, to summarize this, what's happening in Sudan is it's an image, it's a view, it's like a small reel shot of what is happening in the Middle East and what's happening in the Muslim world at large. The inability to the Ummah to rise to its own fate, to rise for its own safety, to rise for its own happiness, to rise for its own sovereignty, to take the law in its own hand. That's the problem. And what we see in Sudan is the symptom of a larger problem that we have seen in Syria. We have seen it in Yemen. We continue to see it in Yemen. That we have seen it in Palestine. That very soon, I hope I am wrong, and I pray to Allah Azza wa Jal that He does not make my words true, that we will see it in Algeria and Morocco, when that will reopen again for the Sahara and for the...
Because I think with Mali situation right now, also Mali was given well, at least the Americans, they said to anybody who's any American in Mali to leave Mali today. And supposedly the message was that the Al-Qaeda is going to take over Mali. I don't know if you saw the messages coming out of the American State Department, things like this, saying that, I mean, I have one of the scholars that we know, he's in Mali, his children are there. So he said, I had to go, he was supposed to be on call with us. He said, I have to go and pick up my daughter or my children from the school or my family, because this is the message that we are getting out of Mali. Sheikh, there are, but why now with Sudan? I mean, everything was Gaza for the last 2 years. And of course, I mean, we saw what happened in Gaza, but all of a sudden, this move at this moment now, I mean, is...
No, brother. It's not all of a sudden. I was looking at the dates. Sudan started...
before Gaza.
6 months before Gaza.
Yes.
6 months. In April of 2023. Gaza started October 2023. So Sudan began earlier. And at some point, we hope that this will be settled very soon, because these rapid forces, they split from the main army. They were friends and buddies with the chief of Sudan. What's his name? The president of Sudan, who was the president of Sudan.
Whoever it is, go ahead.
Yeah. I forgot even his name.
There's so many names, Sheikh. So many political issues going on. It's beyond. I mean, it's becoming hard to keep up with these names.
Yeah, I hope I will never remember any of these names that have put the Muslims in deep trouble. So they were buddies, and they were actually. There was a time when they were meeting together under one of the American envoys. Only a few days before all of this erupted as a major war. And in fact, at that time, there was something that was supposed to happen in Sudan, because in Sudan there was a big uprising of the people. And they almost forced the government to go down and then to reshape Sudan and to bring it up.
Right.
So
elections were supposed to take place. Elections.
Election and the youth. Al-Burhan. I remember this. Al-Burhan was supposed to secede from the power and allow people to get to make elections. Now, instead of doing that, there was a big meeting that took place between Al-Burhan and the chief of the Rapid Forces, whatever his name is, and it was the meeting was with the American U.S. envoy, and within a few days erupted the war. So the war was a pretext to stop the election and the agreement, to violate the agreement they had with the people who were pressing for reforms in Sudan. But then it's escalated now, more and more. So the idea here is the Sudan was started before Gaza, and Sudan had more atrocities and more genocide than what happened in Gaza, in terms of number of people who were killed, crushed, and the starvations. Now, because Gaza is small, and therefore you would see that when 100,000 people get killed and children die, the magnitude becomes very large, because percentage-wise, it's very high. But in Sudan, atrocities were almost much higher. And there was...
200,000 killed already, more.
In Sudan.
In Sudan, yeah.
In Sudan. And that usually these numbers are optimistic numbers. I would multiply this by 3. Yeah. Same as in Gaza. So Sudan experienced very harsh conditions, very harsh war. No ethics, no belief, no religion, no morals, nothing stopped them from doing any atrocity without mercy, without having a single type of forgiveness, or at least take it easy for the people, as if these people are not the same. And the difference between what happened in Gaza and what happens in Sudan, in Gaza, there is an enemy who is supposed to be only ideological, political, ethnical-wise, racial-wise, by all means. So there has been occupation. It's a foreign state. People came from Europe, from the United States, installed in Palestine. So there is this type of geopolitical, let me call it, or racial political status. But in Sudan, it's the same people, same Sudanese, same color, same religion, same deen, same Islam, supposedly Islam. Now, with this, Islam has nothing to do with that. Islam condemns both parts. So that's the what's happening in these areas inside the Muslim countries. As I said, as Yemen, Syria, Libya, Sudan, they are all within the same type of atrocious acts against one another, without fearing Allah Azza wa Jal, not a single bit. And all of them are, either way, they are supported by one either by United States or by Britain or by France, as it's in Central African countries. So that is the problem. The problem is that the Muslims have lost their leadership. The Muslims have lost their vision of their unity. The Muslims have lost the fear of Allah Azza wa Jal. They fear the United States and Europe more than they fear Allah Azza wa Jal. And we always say, look, Allah Azza wa Jal will never fail anyone who seeks support from him. But the United States will fail you, if not today, tomorrow. And those who fight today to get in power, to get the power of Sudan, to become the leaders of Darfur and to have the split, tomorrow they will fail you. The United States will fail you. But if you go back to what Allah Azza wa Jal says, وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا, unite under the banner of Allah Azza wa Jal, all of you, and never split, never be divided. Allah will support you, will give you the support, and He's much more powerful than the United States. But unfortunately, Muslim Ummah in general have lost that vision. And that is, again, I emphasize, that's what we see, what we have seen in the many parts of the Muslim world. The other day was Afghanistan and Pakistan.
Yeah, I was going to get to that, Sheikh. I mean, the issue with Sudan, Sheikh, is the geopolitical nature of Sudan. I mean, it's interesting that what you mentioned was Sudan also saw the Arab Spring part. It reached Sudan, and then the students were the ones who rose up, and I think Hassan Turabi was there, and some of the others they let him go. They pushed him out. Some of the others. Sheikh, I mean, is this being done to stop? I mean, what is the point of? Okay, so I know one of the things that you mentioned is the geopolitical nature of it, that they want to split anything that is as big as Sudan. So they created Darfur, which is in the last 10 years, Darfur was created. But they went into Darfur today. I mean, the city that they are massacring is in Darfur, isn't it?
Yes.
And then you have...
Today it was El Fasher.
Yes.
But Darfur has been, because Darfur is the whole province.
Okay, so Darfur is the whole...
Yes, province.
And then you have... Go ahead.
And you have a city, Darfur, and you have the city also, El Fasher. El Fasher is the capital city. So today is a final blow. That means Darfur, as a province, had fallen under the control of the rapid forces by the Sudanese government.
Okay, so what do the people on the ground, whether it's the rapid forces or the government, what do they get from this split, Sheikh? I mean, you're saying both sides are working with the US. Supposedly, even I don't know if he was the head of rapid forces, whoever, he was sanctioned, but he's in the US, he's in Washington. I mean, he was supposed to be not given any weapons. I mean, he's actually on the sanctions list by the United States government. But in the last few days, he's actually in Washington. And while this thing happened today.
Well, this whole issue of sanction is baloney, is not correct. We have seen that the Syrian revolutionary leaders were under sanctions, were under punitive rules, laws, and out of a sudden, once they are in Damascus, we are all buddies and we play soccer together. So that issue of sanctions, most of the time, United States uses sanctions to impose sanctions upon a certain group in order to prevent this group from getting aid from anyone else but the United States. Okay. And that's what happened with Iran after the revolution, by the way, when there were big sanctions. And that's I know this as first-hand information. I'm not reading books. I'm not looking at news. This is, I knew firsthand when someone was contacting me to provide them a solution, technology solution. Then I was asking him, but this technology, part of it comes from the United States, then probably you need to buy it from companies like from China, from Turkey. The answer came to me. The only thing that we can get into this country if it comes through an American corporation. So the sanctions are made to make sure that Iran does not get anything from anyone else. And that's so this sanction game is a very interesting one. And this, of course, this piece of information, I knew it when I was in the United States, when people were talking about nuclear facilities and nuclear enrichment. And from some sources, they told me all of this is to prevent Iran from enriching any uranium using any technology other than the US technology. So they cannot buy from France, from Britain, from Russia, from China, but if it's from America, then America has its own back door. They have the back door to do whatever they want. And if you do it as a country from Pakistan or from India or from China or France, you will be in trouble. You will be in trouble because of you are violating sanctions. So what I'm saying here is, look, this whole issue of Sudan, the split of Sudan is, from the United States perspective, is a must. Sudan is too big to handle, too big. So it had to be split. First split was based on religion. Christians in the south, come on, revolt, and we will support you. Now it's on struggle for power. Okay, we found someone who can struggle for power. Okay, we'll support them. Now, how the support comes in, it comes from Pakistan, from Saudi Arabia, from wherever. They facilitate that. That's not big deal to facilitate this. Remember the Contra affairs, Nicaragua affairs. Supposedly, we were in the U.S. Absolutely opposed to that, but it turned out after all these revelations, after 30 years of the fact, that we have supported all of these, the Contras and the government at the same time, so that they could fight until the end. They have to submit totally to my will. So that is what's happening in the world today. Globalization, imperialism, superiority of a state that wants to maintain regions completely under their control. The Middle East is the most vital region in the world today as a region. I'm not talking about the entire world. You have Indochina region, you have the Middle Africa region, you have South African countries, you have Latin America region. So you have so many regions. The most vital out of them is the Middle East. Why? Because it has it's the most rich in terms of vital resources, oil, gas, minerals. They are, everything you can think of is in the Middle East, in this area. You have the water pathways. The main water pathways that connect the entire world for the world trade is in the Middle East. Third thing, Middle East has, within this Middle East, there is an idea, according to Patrick Buchanan, an idea. And this idea, its time has come. When he wrote an idea whose time has come, you cannot stop an idea from reaching its stage. The Middle East has an idea that never died, despite all the acts that took place against this idea, starting from all the Mughals, the Crusaders, and today the British, French, European colonialism, and then the US imperialism and globalization. This idea never died out. So somebody has to control it. Somebody has to take care of that. So if you don't control the Middle East, all the Middle East, especially the part of it that are big enough to make an impact, like Egypt, like Sudan, like Iraq, like Syria, like Algeria, like Morocco. Those ones, they are on the line. They are on the line. If they don't take care of themselves, they will fall in the same hole that Sudan had fallen in. And the same thing that
so splits are coming for each country.
Split are coming. The ones
why the usage of UAE? Such a UAE has become a very vital. Here's a question. Two things. When it came to the Afghan and Pakistan situation, the negotiations between them they're happening in Qatar. And then, so that's very interesting. Well, interesting in the sense that obviously the United States is the one that's making both sides looks like. I mean, that's the question here. What is the role of Qatar in trying to get these two to somehow manage their affairs? And when it comes to Sudan, Africa, some of these areas, they're using UAE and not Qatar. What do you see? What's the role being played here, Sheikh, on both sides? What is the real role of UAE and Qatar, and why they're being used in this fashion?
Well, let's put it this way. UAE and Qatar are not the instruments. These are just the ground, the playground that the superpowers use. These countries are too small, too weak, too limited to make any deal or even to invite anyone to sit down in Dubai or Abu Dhabi or Qatar in order to negotiate. Didn't we see that when Qatar, at some point, it was under some type of criticism because of Hamas leadership, the foreign minister very openly said, well, don't point finger at us. We were asked by the United States to host these talks and to host even the Hamas leadership, the political leadership. So it's not our wish or will. It is we are providing a service to the big master. That's all. And then the UAE is not that instrumental, does not have that political influence, and money does not buy political influence alone. The political influence and like the United States, you need to have an objective, a goal, that you want to be influential, that you want to be vital in the world affairs. UAE doesn't have that capacity. Qatar doesn't have that capacity. Saudi Arabia doesn't have that capacity. Turkey, to some extent, does have a capacity as a big country, but cannot play it on its own. So Turkey cannot get involved in Azerbaijan and the Armenian cause simply because I can do it, or to be involved in Syria because it's my neighbor. No. All of these are serving the big master in this world. Whether it's Qatar or the UAE or Saudi Arabia or Turkey or any one of these. That's the real thing.
But now Pakistan, I remember when we were going over your book, which everybody's actually waiting for. The book needs to come out soon, I guess.
It's coming up soon. And since you mentioned the book, I'm a little bit not very happy because it should have come out now, because all the events that are taking place support the ideas that were in the book.
And that's why I think a lot of people, but see, on that book, I wanted to, even though it's not even out yet, but because we discussed it on this show, Sheikh, Pakistan, as you see, I don't, it's signed a defense role with, signed a defense pact with Saudi Arabia. It's also signed another defense pact with also Qatar. They're meeting with all these different types of different people. Sheikh, is United States not enough? U.S. bases are in UAE and Qatar, but U.S. is allowing Pakistan to sign defense pacts with these countries.
Well,
does that surprise you, or is that...
No, it doesn't surprise me because that has a reason. Now, United States has different alliances and allegiances and different stooges that it works with. And each one of them has, United States gives it some right and put some restrictions on it with some variations. For example, United States put some restrictions on Israel, but those restrictions are way less than the restrictions it put on Pakistan or Saudi Arabia. Meaning that when Israel, they saw that the meeting in Qatar, which is hosting a meeting based on the recommendation and the instruction of the United States, when Israel saw that meeting is very harmful to its own cause, so it went out and bombarded that and almost killed the people, the main leadership of Hamas. I'm talking about the one
Doha,
that took
yes.
place in September in Doha. Now, immediately after that came the point is that Israel says, no matter where our enemies are, especially from Hamas, we're going to hit them, whether it's in Riyadh or anywhere else, no matter where they are. If we now, United States wants to protect Saudi Arabia or Qatar, but if Israel takes the action, America is not in a position to put a big lid on Israel and to punish it in front of the people, because if you punish this so-called entity Israel, it means it could mean the end of the state. And the end of the state
of
Israel is very, very counterproductive to United States and Europe and to the very cause for which Israel was created, which is to be like a poisoned arrow in the heart of the Muslim world. That's what was the whole purpose of Israel. So no matter what Israel does, we will not be able to punish it enough to make it refrain. So what do I do now? Saudi Arabia, until we get a final geopolitical stability, everything is works excellent, then go and get protection from Pakistan. Why Pakistan? Because Pakistan is already known to be a nuclear power. Now, America could have lined up Saudi Arabia with Iran, but Iran is
even
not...
Turkey, Sheikh.
Or even Turkey, no. Why? Because Turkey is part of NATO. And therefore, Turkey cannot use the NATO power on its own, cannot do that to protect Saudi Arabia against Israel. And in Turkish own power, without the NATO, Turkey does not have a nuclear capacity, and Israel does. So at the end of the day, if something happens between Israel and Turkey, Turkey will be in deep trouble. It cannot use NATO forces because NATO is not going to take any action against Israel. Why? Because the United States and Britain would not allow that, because they don't want to break the backbone of Israel. So what do we do? For now, temporary, and this is temporary, and I insist it's temporary, until the Middle East is geopolitically stable, all the countries recognize Israel, and Israel recognizes all, and the Palestinians have their own state, and the conflict of Israel and Palestine are resolved. Israel is given its extended border as it wishes. They allow Israel to evict Palestinians from Israel, and that will happen only when a Palestinian state is created. Even that Palestinian,
so that they can send them there, the population.
So they can send them to their own state. Now, today, if they want to send them out of Gaza to Egypt or Jordan, why should we go there? We will be refugees, even from what's called what's called Israel today. How could we evict 1.5 million Palestinians from them. After all, they are in Palestine. Tomorrow, and they are waiting for that. When this Israel becomes Israel, according to all the Arab countries, including Palestinians, then you have no place to stay in my own country. Get out. Where do I go? Oh, we created a Palestinian state for you. So that's on the side issue. But what the point you are making, why push this? And of course, Saudi Arabia and Pakistan cannot sign an agreement like this without the supervision of the United States. No way.
That's what I'm asking you, Sheikh. I mean, I guess look, 20,000 soldiers have been committed to, if I think with so-called peace, they're calling it security or peace thing that's going to happen in Gaza, where different countries are committing certain amount of soldiers to this area. I mean, Indonesia said 20,000, Pakistan said 20,000, and Turkey has given certain amount of numbers. And then you have these pacts that are going on. Do you think that there is a concern that when you have 60, 70,000 soldiers, Muslim soldiers that are coming to supposedly make sure to keep the peace in Gaza, is there any idea in their minds that this could go opposite to the plan that they are thinking? That's one, number one. And number two, and can that be a scary thing if you have a pact like this with Pakistan?
Look, if they had 0.001% thought that this could turn against the vision they had, they will not do it. They will not do it. And they will allow Israel to continue to control Gaza the way it does until they find a different resolution. But they know that these so-called, like the UNIFIL in Lebanon, and the UNIFIL in Lebanon had soldiers from all over the countries, including some Muslim countries.
Right. Pakistan is
so
there.
These are under the United Nations auspices, and their food, daily food, their phones, their cameras, their salaries, everything is controlled by someone else other than their state. So they are like hired to kill people. They are hired. They are
mercenaries.
They are mercenaries. Yes. So that's the last thing America would the last type of mistake it would make, like to bring soldiers from Pakistan there, and with Saudi Arabia and some from Turkey. Man, that will grow up into a Muslim army that could crush this baby called Israel that we have nourished for more than 75 years. That is absolutely terrible. We will not allow that to happen. And they know it will not happen. They know it will not happen.
I mean, is that because what is it, Sheikh? I mean, soldiers, they're Muslims, they are willing to see the atrocities, or is it because, again, the leadership is not?
It's all here. The Prophet ﷺ says, ألا إن في الجسد لمضغة إذا صلحت صلح الجسد كله وإذا فسدت فسد الجسد كله. There is a peace in the body, and the ummah like a body. There is a peace, and this peace, which is either the brain or the heart, is the one that controls the rest.
Right.
If it's in good shape, it can control your hands, your eyes, your feelings in a good cause. If it's corrupt, it will make your hands steal. It will make your eyes look at the muharramat, at the wrong things. It make you spy on your own brother. It make you kill. If your heart and brain are corrupt, they are not good, then everything you can expect from this body. And this ummah is like the jasad, like the body. In fact, that's a hadith also about this. مثل المؤمنين في توادهم وتراحمهم كمثل الجسد. The believers are just like a body. But this body, if it does not have that organ that controls all its branches, in this case, in Islam, it's called the Imam or the Khalifa, or call it whatever you want. If you don't have that one, and you have instead in this body, you have a corrupt president in Egypt, corrupt president or prime minister in Pakistan, corrupt in Turkey, corrupt in Saudi Arabia, corrupt here, corrupt there. How could you have these scattered pieces of the body with scattered, rotten and corrupt organs that control them? What could happen and what could come out of that? Nothing. In fact, I will take this back. It's nothing. It will come out something which makes things much worse. It would have been good if nothing comes out of that. I wish that these organs which are on top of these Muslim parts, nothing comes out of them, neither good nor bad. Then we, the people, can make some sense. We can correct. We can actually choose and select our organ. We can build it. We can rebuild something. But unfortunately, they are doing everything like the shaitan wants. America knows that more than I do. Probably I say that based on my convictions, based on ideas and thoughts. America knows that firsthand, knows that inside the palace, knows that inside the bathroom of these people, knows that as a fact, by every single breath these guys do. We make analysis. We could be right, we could be wrong. Mostly we are right, but it's analysis, trying to understand reality. America knows that as first-hand fact, and therefore no way America would allow a soldier to put his step, take one step in Gaza or Palestine until and unless they know exactly how this person is controlled, what type of control it has on them. And then they will allow that.
Sheikh, there is a discussion out there that what's happening now in Sudan, there could be two factors. One is the Chinese factor, second also of European factor, that this is happening to remove anything that's left of European interest in the region to be basically removed. I mean, is this something that you're thinking? I mean, is this? If, number one, China has been playing a huge role in Africa as far as at least finances are concerned. They're giving, like for instance, what we see in Kenya and what we see in some of the other places. Is this also to make sure that there's no one remains in the area that can cater to China or to Europe? And if this is true, this is again my own analysis on this issue, but is Europe, Europe has completely, is it out of the picture, Sheikh? Europe is gone. Europe cannot play a role at all now, the way the US is making these moves?
Well, two things. China will not put its step in any place that has fire. China will not do that. China will sell and buy things as long as this will not cost one bullet. It can cost hundreds of billions of dollars, can pay, and it can win, it can gain. But once this comes into militancy, China is out. China will never, as long as Chinese heritage is maintained, and Chinese heritage is thousands of years old. It's not from Mao Zedong or after. China has a heritage with thousands of years. It does not involve itself in any militancy until and unless this hurts China personally, physically. China, not Chinese. China, and as much as they can avoid gunfire, they will. like the wall they put around China, they call it the Great China Wall. So China is a different story. China will be trading with whomever, with the devil they trade. And they are good traders. And they have good products. And they have cheap products. And they can compete. And this is fine. United States does not mind that, because eventually, as long as they get paid with dollars inside some places, America is gaining actually more than China does with this.
Because
so that's fine. But Europe is different. Yeah, Europe is different. Europe, no matter how much they sleep, it's like a snake that sleeps could be for 8 months. But as soon as it finds a hole that it can come out of in order to make a stick or to bite someone, they will. And by Europe, I mean France and Britain in particular, and Germany, by the way. But Germany is still under occupation, so it cannot do that. Or Italy. All of these, they love to interact with the people on militancy and beyond. But their problem is that the Americans do not trust them, and they try to keep them out as much as they can. So whenever they find an opportunity, whether it's especially now France or Britain, to get involved, they do. Whenever they find an opportunity to hurt America so that it does not have the capacity to hurt them, they will. Like now in the war between Russia and Ukraine, Britain, France, Europe, they have been trying to promote the war or to escalate the war in the Ukraine to become a war with NATO or against NATO. And when they say against NATO, Britain and France are not the ones who are going to fight. It's America. And that would, their hope, their wish is that could bring the American power to its knees. Because once it becomes like a world war, or could be nuclear, or could be a bit less than nuclear, but it does involve NATO, then Europe may have a place, a time to breathe, or an opportunity to breathe. They will be hurt. But they are willing to take that hit. They will be willing to take that hit if and only if that could get America to its knees.
Sheikh, as far when you talked about China, are you saying that the reason China still uses a lot of American currency? I mean, dollar, they want to keep buying in dollar. They at least they save dollars. So even if it's projecting itself as a superpower, but in reality, it's the American currency that's backing. Does that mean that even as China grows, it's actually U.S. is also growing with it?
Well, as I told you, every dollar that is in circulation today is generated by the Federal Reserve Bank, by the Fed. And every dollar the Fed generates without any backing, that's a wealth. That's the imperial wealth that America gains. So America does not mind seeing a monster in trading and in buying, especially from people who get loans. Where do people get money to spend? Either you are rich, like the Gulf states, you can buy with your own oil, your dollar, your petrodollars, or you get loans from the World Bank. And where do you get the loans? In what currency? In the dollar. So the World Bank is going to give, let's say, Jordan $5 billion in loan. So these $5 billion, the World Bank will talk to the Fed, oh, there are $5 billion are coming. Please print them for me. Generate $5 billion. Okay, we'll generate $5 billion. Who is going to, on whose behalf these $5 billion? Well, one of them part coming from France, part coming from, let's say, Brazil, part coming from uh, Italy, part from the United States, it doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, who's going to generate the dollars? The Fed. What did the Fed do to generate the dollars? Nothing, zero. Even the printing, they don't pay the cost of the printing. They will give you the number. Say now, World Bank, you have $5 billion scattered around among a few countries. Go ahead and do your due diligence by either transferring it as electronic and eventually will be printed somewhere. The Fed will not be even pay for the printing of the dollars. They will just have the wealth accumulation in their budget. And part of that wealth, of course, goes to the country, which is the United States. That's the deal. So United States, the way things are happening today, they are gaining with every dollar in circulation. Every dollar. Now, sometimes, of course, we know BRICS, they said we want to circulate our own currency. Okay, they do. But the percentage of that still way below 10%. It's not making any difference. So that's why America does not mind seeing China being a big merchant, does not mind seeing the Iran or Saudi Arabia or Iraq selling too much oil and becoming extravaganza rich. They don't mind. They love it because eventually you have to use my dollar.
Sheikh, final question here regarding Sudan situation, just so that we... Sheikh, Egypt is in the north. You have Sudan in this situation. Do you feel that is it a possibility that this type of instability in Sudan could reach... I know you were saying that it could easily... I mean, it's going to reach other places, but... does the United States not worry that this instability can go to Cairo or to I mean, how does it manage this? I mean, when it comes to because I know at one point the Egyptians had some troops that they had put on the borders because of they were worried that this could expand into Egypt. But Sheikh, I mean, we saw what happened between when the war was taking place in Afghanistan and the role of Pakistan in this, and people going in and out, and radicalization, all of this that they were worried about. Do you not see this happening if Sudan continues on this way with the people of Egypt? And they're stuck on both sides. You have Gaza on one side that they're looking at, and then Sudan on the other side.
Well, look, when the master is one, when the master of the game is one, then the pawns on the chessboard, they have no choice to worry or not to worry, because
they have no role.
They have no role. So the instability in Sudan is under the vision and the control and the directions of the same player on the chessboard, which is the United States. And Egypt is another player on another chessboard by the same player, the same gang, same gangster that runs the whole show. So Egypt does not even have the right to worry about instability in Sudan. It does not have even the right to think that it's going to hurt it. Because if it will hurt Egypt, that means the big master wants it to hurt. So what Egypt is going to do? Revolt against the master? Of course, they should. But as long as they are under the control of the same pawn, they will not. So in this case, all of them understand the rules of the game. All. Egypt understands that. Saudi Arabia understands that. Libya understands that. Tunis understands that. Although Sudan is bordering all of these countries, they do understand the potential impact, but they know that all of this impact is under the control of one, not two. Now, if this struggle involved, let's say, Britain or France indirectly, where one of them would be supporting the other, then somebody has to worry. To worry about that, because there are two players and these players may not be on the same page. But now the player is one in this series. The player happens to be one. Now, does this mean that Britain and France like that or dislike it? It's irrelevant. They have been ousted from that area. Britain has been ousted from Sudan long time ago, from Egypt long time ago, so it doesn't have any clue on what's happening. Libya is a playground still. Still, there is some European elements there, especially British elements, on the ground. They have not been cleaned out, and that's why the war continues to happen between the East and the West. And the U.S. is not the only player in Libya, whereas in Sudan it is.
So we are going to see 3 parts of Sudan. Is this what we're ending with? I mean, are we going to see East, West, Darfur? What are we looking at Sudan? And final picture of Sudan.
At least 2, at least current Sudan and Darfur, and maybe you will see Kordofan, because today the rapid forces have majority control of Kordofan. Kordofan is another province. So this is coming into the north of Sudan. Darfur is on the west. Kordofan is a bit northwest, a bit. Northwest. And Khartoum and Durman, these 2 places will be the third. So either 2 or 3. 2 is almost done. Today, the news that came out today means that the second state is almost done, Darfur. And there could be a negotiation between both parties, well, the one in Khartoum and the one in Darfur, the government of Al-Burhan and the government of the rapid forces, to settle down, to stop the war, possible, on the basis that Darfur will be under the control of the rapid forces, and Khartoum under the government of Sudan.
This will be the final question. Why massacring, Sheikh? Why are they? I mean, usually armies do this to make a point. I understand that. I guess they're trying to show that, look, if you don't surrender. This area had surrendered, and they still came in, and they're literally taking trucks over bodies of people who are alive. Sheikh, this kind of monstrosity, and this is unbelievable. But why end it this way, Sheikh, when the city has surrendered?
Well, these people, I think that's my own opinion. I think they want to mark their success with blood. So no one from the people whom they know that they do not appreciate this type of division, no one will ever rise up and try to challenge them. So this is just to make a point that we don't mess with us. Don't fool around. If we are in control, you better shut up and listen. They want to make this point because they are coming as like invaders from outside, or like splitters, or like rebels. That's how the people look at them. And in order to quell that feeling and to stop any impact or any counterproductive action from the people, they have to make their path bloody by organization, by will, by design. This is not something that haphazard came, oh, we found some people, we killed them, we thought that they were carrying guns against us. No, they just want to do as much killing as possible, as much blood as possible, to let the people understand that they have no chance or no way, or should not even think about standing up against this new regime. And people get submitted. That's not difficult.
I mean, the way they have, subhanallah, Sheikh. Jazakallah khair, Dr. Talha. I mean, this is I mean, so I don't want to make it another question here, but it's a very sad situation, Sheikh. It's a very sad situation. And subhanAllah, when we're seeing what we're seeing, it's. I mean, I thought it's unbelievable. We saw what the Zionists did in Gaza, but to see this being done by hands of the Muslims is beyond.
Today I got the same comment from a brother. He asked me the question: how is it possible to imagine that someone who has some Islamic concepts would be able to do that?
They're raping women. They're raping women. They're hanging people on the trees.
My answer is that over the last 100 years, the Muslims in general have not realized why they are Muslims. As from ideas, from concept, perspective, thought. They are Muslims simply because they are born Muslims. They are Muslims because they live in a society, the majority are Muslims. That's the reason. But had the people thought, whether individuals or masses, that there is a God, is Allah, who created us, and He has hell and heavens, and He holds people accountable, and accountability is, I see it in front of my eyes as I see the person I'm going to kill at the moment. So my vision of accountability is much more stronger than my vision, what I see of the person I'm going to spill his blood. Then you will ask the question, there is no way in the world this soldier will kill this man. True. But the truth of the matter, people have grown up Muslims without having concrete conceptualization of what a Muslim means.
Because they're screaming Allahu Akbar, Sheikh.
Yeah, because to them, just like going to the masjid, they pray and they come out, because in the masjid they remember, oh, I am praying for someone called Allah Azza wa Jal, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. They go out, their instincts, their feelings, their emotions are absolutely detached from the Aqidah or the faith, because this Aqidah, they never conceptualize that. That's why we say always, for a human, for a person to evolve or to revive as a real human, as a person with ideas and thoughts, he must have real thinking, real concepts, real conceptualization. Why am I a Muslim? What does it mean to be a slave of Allah Azza wa Jal? What does it mean to have a Rabb that I worship? We have to understand that the majority of Muslims through the colonial period, they have lost that vision. They have lost that ability to conceptualize. They have become Muslims like drones, like a drone or robots. I do whatever I think someone moves me to do. I can do that. If I can't satisfy a particular instinct in me or need in me or response to one of my so-called superiors, and he loves me for killing 10, 15, 20 people, I will do it. Not me, but they will do it. So today, you cannot judge these people based on how could they do it when they are Muslims. Well, how could the Muslims allow a king or a president to nail them down and to stop them from helping Gaza? It's the same.
Yeah. No, I thought about this morning, and this is the exact answer came to me. I said, first, to be honest with Allah, I thought maybe we don't care about Darfur or Sudan because it's black. A lot of thoughts came to my mind that it has to do with racism. Maybe it's this, maybe it's that. We haven't even been talking about Sudan the way we have been speaking about Gaza or other places. And then I said to myself that no, I mean we let go of Gaza. So what does it really matter? Even how much we've spoken about Gaza, what did we do for the Muslims there? So.
By the way, just comment on what you have said. Throughout the war with Gaza, we have not spoken or talked or even sympathized or brought the issue of Sudan, although the atrocities were much greater.
Yeah.
Not because me and you or some of the, sincere brothers do not care, but it's the media that plays on us.
Yeah, of course. I mean, the
But
moment Gaza, it's amazing actually the difference in the last 2 days. Literally, it's amazing. I mean, yesterday I was telling my team here, I said, okay, we need to start doing some work in Sudan. Although we've been working in Sudan. It's just now all of a sudden Al Jazeera wants to talk about Sudan, and Facebook is all of a sudden everywhere you see Sudan.
yeah.
I mean, it's like almost Gaza is over. It's not even. Sheikh, that's
Even
another
if it's
thing
not
that.
over, even if it's not over, it's being handled according. There's a plan to handle it. Finish. Now let's go Sudan. Now I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure there are some problems. Let's say in Syria. Syria itself does have some issues still today.
Yeah,
tomorrow, if Sudan quiets down, you will out of a sudden start listening to the news about Bangladesh or Kashmir or Syria. But all of these issues have been there all the time. Atrocities are there all the time. So the media is manipulating our minds, our brains, and our visions. You see what they want you to see. You hear what they want you to hear. And they direct your head. Abu Talha, move left. No, now straight. No, go right now. Go not back. There's a snake behind you. But the snake has been there for the last 1 hour. And that one who's in front of me, he has seen that. But he wants me to focus on this, let's say, monkey in front of me. There's a monkey not in front of me, on the side, I'm sorry. So the manipulation, that's yet another issue. That's why I keep always saying, let's think fundamentally in a manner to solve a core problem that can address the rest of the problems. Because I can't look in all of the directions. That's true. I can't be rotating my heads all the time like this, keep rotating, and to see everything. It's impossible. So the issue here is, what is it? What's the problem? If I solve it, that means I no longer need to rotate right and left, because I can bring an organ that on top of me, like on the ceiling, that will see everything around and has millions of hands that can reach all over. And that is what we always call to the people. Many people don't understand us. They think that we are the Khilafa people. We are in love with. No. This is an Imam. Al-Imamu ra'in wa huwa mas'ulun an ra'iyatihi. The Imam is a shepherd, and he's in charge of his of the cattle, of all of it. Now the shepherd, the sheep and the goats and the people and the factories, these are millions of problems. You can't look after them all. You need to have an organ, and the Prophet ﷺ very clearly said, you need the ra'i. You need someone who's in charge. You put him in charge, give him all the power, provide him with the support. Now he will say, oh, Abu Talha, now focus on the one on your left-hand side. Shirazi, you focus on that one. Abdullah, you go to the animals on the other side of the street. Ali, you do he can allocate the resources. And then I don't have to worry about Kashmir, about Bangladesh, about the Uyghur, about the Malaysians, Indonesians, about Palestine, about Gaza, about Sudan, there are millions of problems. I don't have to worry about the agriculture, about the farming, about the food, who ate, who did not eat, who starved, who did not starve. That's absolutely impossible. You need someone who can allocate the vital resources, the appropriate resources to solve the appropriate problems. And that's what we lack. That's why I said the media can manipulate me, can tell me, oh, Abu Talha, today Sudan is more urgent. Focus on Sudan. Tomorrow say, you know what? We made a mistake, or not necessarily a mistake, but Gaza is back hot again. So look at Gaza. You know, it's no longer Gaza. It's the West Bank that's under attack, and that's going to be annexed. I can't handle that. It's beyond the capability of an individual or a group or a sub-nation, small nation. That's beyond the capability and the power of these. It is according to the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ and the ayat and the Quran, which is very, strict and accurate and thorough on this issue. There must be someone in charge, and you have to listen and obey and go. Let him do his job, and you have to support him. And if he doesn't do the job, replace him. That's how it should go. So sorry to keep you late, brother.
No. You what is it? 4 o'clock in the morning over there. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. No, not at all. جزاك الله خير أبو طلحة. الله يبارك فيك. يعني may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect, preserve you, Sheikh. Inshallah, until next time. This is, as I said, it's unbearable to watch. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bring the victory that we are talking about and how you ended it. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bring that unity and that leadership that will protect and preserve this ummah. Ameen. Allahumma ameen. Jazakallah khair wa ta'ala.